adventure on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober. Thank you for joining me. Today on our show, we'll talk to the director of the new Israeli fantasy film, Abulele. We'll get a taste of Lebanese cotton candy. And hear of the British tradition of Christmas commercials. Abulele is a new Israeli fantasy film aimed mostly at children about a Jerusalem kid who meets a mythical monster that is invisible to most people. The film is quite unusual in the Israeli film landscape for bringing together fantasy, adventure, and special effects. I'm very happy to have the film's director, Yoni Geva, in the studio to tell us more about it. Thanks for coming in, Yoni.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So how did this idea begin? Where did you get the idea for the film?
I grew up in Jerusalem, and one of my earliest memories was me playing soccer with a friend. I was around 5 years old,
Okay.
and his mom yelled at us from their window, if you don't come back home before it gets dark, the Abulele will come and eat you. And we took that threat very seriously, and we
came
home, and that's when we found out about Abulele, which is a monster that a lot of people who grew up in Jerusalem know and around Israel know.
Yeah. Let's watch a scene from the film where we can see Abulele and come back to you. All right, so you have an idea, you know that this monster, but you put it down on paper, and do you think at the time that we'll get to this point in time when there's a finished film?
No, I had it was a really long shot for me, making this film. It's something that was never done before in Israel, creating a monster. I thought I knew how it should work and all the special effects should work, but it was all on paper, and it was pretty much a long shot.
So how long did it take? How long have you been working on it?
About 5 years. I finished writing the script about 5 years ago. It took us about 2.5, 3 years to get funded and fully funded, and we started shooting last summer. And it took us a year of editing and special effects to get to this point.
So how'd you make the creature? Because as far as I know, it's the first creature in Israeli cinema.
Yes.
How'd you make it?
It's Abulele is created using a puppet, an actor who.
It's a suit.
It's a suit
Okay.
with an actor inside, has mechanical arms that give Abulele much longer arms than the actors. And on that we added a CG face. So the face is a CG animation, and all of the other parts of Abulele are just the suit.
Right. And it was all done in Israel, am I right?
It was all done in Israel. 100%.
Now, there hasn't been a special effects industry in Israel almost, till this year. We saw Oh My God, I'm a Robot earlier in the year that also had some special effects. Do you think that there's a potential for a special effects industry in Israel?
There's huge potential, and there are a lot of very talented people here in Israel. We have really talented people working in the advertising industry. We have a lot of crazy advertisements in Israel, but this is the first time that it was all implemented in a feature film for cinema. So the infrastructure is here. We have a lot of talent. This is the first time that the talent and the Israeli cinema.
Somebody dares combine the two.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges that you didn't expect, and then on set or in the post production suddenly hit you?
So many. Started with shooting the film, working the actor working inside the puppet. The suit had a lot of difficulties working it, and had a lot of difficulties with the heat. We filmed in August.
Shooting in August, Israeli summer.
Yeah,
you don't want to
Israelis.
wear anything, let alone a suit like that.
So it took us a lot of time, prepping him, and we had to give him long breaks because we couldn't shoot him all day. Working with kids, we have two amazing young actors, Yoav Saadian and Bar Minieli. They're amazing, but they have a lot of energy. So between takes, it takes a lot of time to get them back in line.
Yeah. Speaking of children, going into the niche of children's film, a director for children, is that something you were a little worried about?
Yes, it is. It does worry me a little bit because, Abu Lele is a drama film. It's aimed at adults and children the same way, and we find it a bit difficult explaining to people that it's not a children's film, but it's a whole family film.
Right.
The whole family can enjoy it and has a lot of drama that parents can relate to. And so yeah, it does worry me a little bit, but.
But you think the result will speak for itself,
Yes.
I assume. Now, I mentioned it before. We saw Oh My God, Marabat, all kinds of stuff like that. In the past, Israeli film was about the occupation and the army. Then it was all family dramas. And recently we see a lot more genre films. We see horror, we see sci-fi, we see fantasy. Why do you think this is happening now, as someone who's actually out there doing it?
I think it's a combination of young directors coming out of film schools who grew up on these type of films, and that these are the type of films they want to create, and a lot of I don't know if it's courage, but a lot of support from the film industry in Israel, the film funds, who are for the first time investing in these types of films, and special effects in Israel is growing, and prices are becoming available for Israeli filmmakers. So it's the combination of all these three things, I guess, that open the door.
Abu Lele is coming out in Israel.
This Tuesday.
Okay.
It's Tuesday.
And we, of course, urge everybody to go out and watch it. I know the premiere was just yesterday.
Yes.
So maybe it's a little early to ask this, but what's next for you?
I don't know. Just first of all, resting. I'll rest for a while. I'll enjoy the film, and it's coming up this Hanukkah, so I'll probably
watch it a few times.
Go a couple of times with the audiences, and then sit down and write the next film.
All right. Taking it abroad. Any plans for that?
We're expecting to get answers from a couple of big film festivals. Hopefully, we'll get there, and we're trying to bring it abroad.
Yoni, best of luck. It seems like a wonderful project, and thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me here.
All right. Now, in the 20th century, machines revolutionized the creation of new forms of candy, among them cotton candy. But in Lebanon, the Hawana family is refusing to use machines to prepare their own special kind of cotton candy. More in this story by Daniel Campos.
Spun sugar sweets have been around since at least the 15th century. But cotton candy from an electric machine is a more recent invention, which reached its current form and became accessible to the masses, thanks to the efforts of dentist William Morrison and candy maker John C. Wharton in 1897. The year both invented an electric machine that would first melt crystallized sugar, then spin the melted sugar such that it would be forced through tiny holes in a screen, which would create the threads of cotton candy. Cotton candy, also known as fairy floss, is an international phenomenon. But not everyone is fond of the machine. In Beirut, the Hawana family's factory is one of the last remaining traditional producers of handmade cotton candy in Lebanon.
I learned this craft from my father, who himself learned it from my grandfather. cotton candy originates from the Turks. It is an old Turkish industry. We developed it throughout the years with technology and better packaging. Some countries like Turkey and Iran advanced it through the use of machines, but we in Lebanon can't make it without putting our feelings, our strength, and our taste into the production process.
In Arabic, people call it ghazal al-banat, and it's made of flour, sugar, water, and ghee. At the start of the process, the flour is spread onto a metallic tray. The sugar is then prepared and is transformed into a bulky piece of caramel before being left to cool and covered with the flour. The mixture is then stretched and twisted, with flour gradually added until the dough becomes thinner, taking the shape of pure white cotton candy. Feelings and experience bring taste and good quality, unlike machines. With workers using decades-old methods to produce the sweet by hand, which they say preserve the taste and quality of their harvest.
It's all in the person's personality, experience, and what I've learned from my father and my grandfather. That is it.
The traditional method of making cotton candy is a dying trade in Lebanon, as more and more factories with modern equipment are taking over the production process. But despite the competition with industrial machines, the Hawana family's factory has seen some developments over the years. They are now distributed widely across Lebanon, with some of the sweets even being exported abroad.
Sweet. In a moment, we'll spread some Christmas commercial cheer, but first, here's our cultural recommendation for today.
South American victims of Operation Condor are commemorated in Chile, 40 years after the ruthless Secret Service led by Augusto Pinochet and Manuel Contreras carried out massive arrests and executions of civilians, politicians, and artists loyal to former President Salvador Allende, who also died as a result of the coup d'etat. Portuguese photographer João Pina wishes to honor them through 110 photos exhibited at the Museum of Memory and Human Rights in Santiago, testifying some of the darkest years in the history of Latin America.
In preparation for Christmas, we invited Daniel Roth, because he has a beard, so
Yes.
that's like the most sandy thing we could find.
I'm the most like Santa Claus in this place. The most.
You are a very giving person.
Yes,
so.
I try to give presents. I try to climb down people's chimneys. It's
What are we talking
weird.
about here? We're talking about Christmas and commercials. How the
Yes.
two mix? It doesn't make any sense.
Of course, you can't put Christmas and commercialism together. Marketing and Christmas, these things don't go together. Of course they do.
in England.
In England they do, and in England it's become a pastime of department stores and grocery stores and electronic stores to put out these extended commercials that actually 20, 30 years ago were big, silly songs written specifically to convince you to come to this electronic store and, buy the latest gadgets. Nowadays, we're seeing more sentimental, really tear-jerking items. And we have one from Sainsbury.
Let's take a look.
Hello, fire service. Hello.
I was a little nervous at the end there that the clock is gonna, smush him.
Yeah, no, I mean, the real question is how did they train this cat to do obvious things? It's, no, of course it's a CGI cat. And so this is, this is indicative of the kind of money and intensity. This commercial actually goes on, and the
It's
neighbors.
like 3.5 minutes or something.
Yeah, the house burns down. The neighbors come together and give this family
Wait, so
a Christmas.
because the cat ruined Christmas.
The cat ruined Christmas, and it's like, you know, a 2 or 3 minute story that is reminding you that neighborliness is Christmas itself, and so all of these.
So you have
sweet,
to go buy in this department store.
Yeah, you have to go buy in this store. You get food and you know, get your Christmas hams. Come to this store. This is what will make Christmas. But these ads are really a part of the British culture surrounding Christmas now. It's really an interesting aspect. It's kind of this thing that people wait for all years to see what is John Lewis going to come out with, what is Sainsbury going to come out with, what is the Christmas cheer today, what do I need to buy?
All right, now we know. CGI'd cat, and I guess the penguin's also CG. Thanks, Daniel.
Probably. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be back tomorrow. Please join us again.